instead of using tools, it's like the tools of consciousness. Instead, a monkey is, figuring out the tools. And like if you showed them the nail, like that you want the nail standing up, and you showed them like, hey, how to stand up a nail, and you push it into the wood, and a monkey could probably push it into the wood because they're so strong. But like just get them to show them standing up, they'd probably figure just that part out. And then you tell them, like, show them how to use a hammer. It's like you hit it, you swing it like this, and the hammer head goes down. And
Mhm.
they probably figured that out. And then you combine the two, they'd probably figure it out. But if you just show them like the hammer and nail, they're probably like, yeah, okay, you hit the nail with this part. So like they get something, they get one piece of all of the things going on. And then once you add all those together, it would all make sense. And like everybody, we're all like getting pieces. And some of us are just getting different pieces and more pieces than others. And then we look at others and are like confused of what pieces they're getting and not others. And it's like, you go to one person and they're concerned about one thing, and another person they're concerned about the other. When that person, if you actually like added up all together, they should be more concerned about the thing that person's concerned about, but they attach themselves to that instead of this. And yeah, it's fascinating adventure.
Yeah, makes me think about not so much like consciousness, but just like learning anything or whatever, and how um, some people like it's hard to show all the steps. Like if you're coaching someone, how do you really get them to see like all the different aspects of the thing that if you're the teacher or whatever, showing them how maybe you're already doing so naturally, and you don't, you're just, even if you're showing them every little thing, for them to actually apply it and have it integrated in a way that's like, when should you use which thing when, you could hold the hammer like this and do this, and it might work for this, but it's not going to work for this. And
It's like if you this week I ended up doing so many other odds and ends, but like one of them is I had to fix the irrigation at Dad's house. So he like him and Ian drilled a couple holes, like big holes in the ground to build the fence posts, and they hit a couple water lines. So I like cut and measured all these pieces, like dug it up, and was gonna redo the piping. And then I had it all like measured, and I work with this kind of piping all the time, and I know how you would do things, especially when things can't move. So like you're trying to make pipes like this, but they can't move at all, and they can't move this way. So you have to somehow get like a coupling in there. So you like cut it, and then you figure out what has give, and slide a coupling on one way a little, and slide it on the other. And there's a technique to it. And
yeah,
but then Dad sat down with me after I had everything ready to go, and he glued the wrong piece onto the wrong fitting, and he glued it so far in that we like it lost any give, so it couldn't work. And then he immediately knocked over the glue and got it all over the tools. And the whole time he's panicking. He's like, "Oh, Joe, no, no." And then like the then a couple days later, I went to the bakery, and Kit and John were there, and they were building a cart, like a rack. And on the very bottom of the rack, Kit and John, when I showed up, they most of it was done, and they were trying to put the wheels on, and they're jamming this like metal piece of the wheel that goes around a corner, like a corner on the bottom, into the corner of the rack itself. And I
yeah,
was like, given how much force they're trying to put to this and like apply to this to make it work, guaranteed they're throwing everything else out of whack, and it's not going to work. So something's wrong here. And like, if this is wrong, then what else is wrong? Evident. So I looked at, I was like, do you have the box of like a finished thing so you can see what it looks like, or the instructions or anything? They're like, nope. And I found like one sheet of paper that it showed like the bottom corner of the wheels, and sure enough, they had the wheel on the wrong corner. And then after we put the wheels on, we stood it up and we tried fixing other things. And then I noticed that they like a bolt and a screw that are going in, you're supposed to put it into like the holes like bigger, and then it's little, and you're supposed to put it in and then like slide it down into the little section so it stays there. They didn't do that. So you could actually slide every part of the rack, just the bolts right out of the hole. So the whole thing could just come apart at any moment. So I just redid everything they did. And it's just like this little thing. So it's the tool example. Like you could show an orangutan how to do the wheel, how to put a screw on, how to hammer something. Like you show them all these little pieces, and you don't even know what they're picking up from it. It's like, show a monkey how to hammer a nail. You show anybody when you're teaching them like this one basic skill, like every single little skill of it, there's no telling what they're actually picking up from any skill, or if they have, if they're even not just applying it to the thing that you're specifically showing them for, but showing them it and being like, Extrapolate from this all the times that you would want to use this skill."
Yeah, like
Like, how many are they thinking about?
what what does this mean for all the different things you could possibly do ever, not just this one thing that's going on right now.
Yeah. And then when you extrapolate, not just like, that this using it for this one thing that we're learning about, or all the times you will ever need it, but then when you look at something like a rack, there's only so many skills you need to build a shelf. But when you're talking about all of life, so now it's like a skill, like a life skill, a skill of like how to use the consciousness, because we're not using a hammer and nails, we're using weird geometry of the mind and like pattern association and all this other stuff that we don't really have wording for, and then extrapolating that into any circumstance in life and any kind of development of awareness and anything that we start to like that passes through our life experience. That is like, that's complex. There's a lot going on there.